before we did the break, then I'm very excited to see the continuation of both Massu and Busio's evolution. I think Busio in particular had a stellar series. Game 1 was predicting a ton of Renata handshake flash combos, and then the game 2, the Poppy flex was thing of beauty.
Yeah, and we'll see if they're going to be able to kind of, continue those improvements. For me, I think the big question for Busio is less about regular season and more about can he do it in those big moments, when those big moments matter, because that has been the criticisms of him, right? When we saw how he played in the LCS finals in spring, when we saw how he played at MSI, he wasn't playing to the level that we know he can play at and the kind of level that we've come to expect from him. So we'll have to see, when that does come, but playoffs still a long ways off. We are not even yet at that halfway point, but we will be crossing that with their 4th game here today.
Yep, it's all about maintaining consistency and having high expectations for this squad, as the Lounge already touched upon it before we got started with the draft phase. I mean, this team was the heavy favorites going into spring playoffs. The fact that Team Liquid kind of came through that lower bracket and upset everyone is now made us reevaluate where FlyQuest is supposed to be in terms of being the #1 team in the league, but they still should be one of our top 3 competitors going into playoffs. And with the ban phase concluded from both sides, Ezreal is the first pickup for FlyQuest.
Yeah, I mean, I think TL is still definitely the top dogs, right? They did have a little bit of a messy game in game 2 against Dig, but I don't think it's too big of a deal. They are undefeated. They are still the team that everyone is talking about as the best team in the league. And I think until someone is able to take them down, that is how the conversations will remain. A lot of people are going to be looking forward to, the potential face-off between C9 and TL down the line, because those two teams have not yet played. Obviously, our big 3, FlyQuest and TL already played. C9 has not yet played TL, and if both those teams stay undefeated up until they do fight, that'll be pretty exciting. But FlyQuest obviously trying to remain in the hunt for that first place spot. Just because those two teams haven't lost yet doesn't mean that they won't, doesn't mean that they won't have that opportunity to kind of knock them down a peg and claim that first place prize.
Sure. Meanwhile, on the flip side, after Immortals see the Ezreal pickup, they go for a little bit of that Freljord flavors, Sejuani and AShe. This AShe can still be a flex between both Tactical and Olleh in the bot lane, so it keeps a little bit of those cards hidden. The nice thing about Sejuani, this is one of Armao's historically better known champions throughout his time, both in not just challengers, but also in LCS when he's played in previous stints, whether it was for Team Liquid, subbing in for Santorin, or even on the Evil Geniuses roster last year. FlyQuest are going to answer now, confirm that Corki is going to be locked in here. More than likely should be for quad, unless they want to get fancy and send the Corki bot side. With the Nidalee pick, wow, that is... I feel like there's better junglers you can pick these days, and I know, coming from the Nidalee enthusiast guy himself, when you're advocating against like one of your favorite champions, you know that it's serious, but this is a heavy poke composition for the side of FlyQuest.
Yeah, exactly.
The only problem is that FlyQuest is lacking setup and CC for a lot of the spears, but if you get a ton of priority in every single lane, then Nidalee can run this Sejuani out of the jungle.
Well, I think they're going to be looking for that setup, for that engage, likely from their 4-5. Obviously, they have their support, they have their top laner still available to be picked, and that's likely where the CC is going to be coming from. Braum is going to get banned out, though, here by Immortals, as you are playing against double AD carry comp. Really strong when you do have those setups, but yeah, I think Fly is going very much so for that poke style of composition. Looking to just chip and poke and prod down these members over on the Immortal side. Obviously, there was the Warmog exchange, so you need more health before that does become active, so it's harder to rush to the first item, especially for supports. And a lot of people, as a result, are just going back to kind of the support items, Locket, Zeeks, etc.
Sure.
But I do think, this is a case where Armao still could go for Warmogs first. Often you do need that extra Ruby Crystal on top to actually activate it, but when you're looking at this type of comp, you want someone who can just be standing there in front, soaking up that damage, able to allow you to actually face check these brushes, because it's so difficult to play up against poke comps, especially if they are first to an objective and you have to walk in blind against them.
Yeah.
That's where you really need someone who can actually handle that poke as they're going in. I think that's likely to be Armao, but we'll see what he wants to go for.
Yeah.
As Poppy going to get banned out as well here by Immortals, which might be saying they want to go for additional dash jam, something like a Renekton or whatever. That could be an easy answer into. And Rel going to be banned out, and it will be Jax. So Jax is the read that they were saying, okay, Castle is trying to protect the Jax with the Poppy ban, so we're going to actually take this away.
Yep. Also putting respect on the flex potential with that Poppy, as Busio put down a pretty strikingly damn good game against Dignitas last time we saw them. The Leona is the lock-in, so now Busio has the opportunity for counterpick. Bard would be fun. I don't know if it's necessarily the best champion that FlyQuest would want to go for, because he's not someone that can step up in front and be a frontline. Someone needs to face check bushes at some point. You can always check with Phosphorus Bomb and Mystic Shots and Spears, but at some point FlyQuest would like at least some sense of frontline, and it looks like with the Bard officially locked in for Busio, that might just fall to Bwipo, who has to now blind pick into Castle.
Yeah, you have to think that it's going to be some sort of beefy top laner. Otherwise, it's a very difficult comp to actually pilot here.
Yeah.
As you say, there's not really a lot of setup. I mean, you can potentially set up with Tempered Fate and then try to time out of that. Ksante would allow them to have a little bit of that ability to actually walk in and face check with that tanky champion up in the top lane. But again, it doesn't really have any CC, so they are going to be very much so, I think, about more just like kiting it out, disengaging. They're not going to be the team that's actually looking to dive in. They're going to be a team that's trying to roam around, play through side lanes, move around the map with the Bard, with the Nidalee, find picks, get poked down before the fights, and try to avoid that engage, which is very powerful over on the Immortals side. The Immortals have a lot of go buttons here. Not only did they take that Leona, but they have Ashe, they have the potential for an Azir sweep, they have potential for the Glacial Prison, even Gnar flanks. There is possibilities for really all 5 members from Immortals to engage. And over on the FlyQuest side, there's really none of that. So they have to have a strong early game. They have to be first to objectives, or I think they're going to have a really tough time.
Yeah, and I think the only lane that you don't get guaranteed push for FlyQuest is going to be top lane, right? You're into the Gnar, he's ranged for him, he should be able to give you some sort of advantage for the Immortal side, but this mid lane and this bot lane seems pretty darn good for FlyQuest to set up an aggressive stance on the map, which should give Inspired free reign to invade into Armao's bottom side of the jungle. That seems to be the game plan, but like you said, Azael...
Let's see what chat says. Which draft is the winning one?
Yeah. I mean, I'll always favor the draft that has more non-committal engage tools. Glacial Prison, Solar Flare, all great ways to start a fight. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow as well from the bot half. Some of it is also semi-global as well, with how far are the range you get from those ultimates as well. So the fact that Immortals has...
a lot of Immortals. Actually, yeah. Whoa, more Fly... it's kind of going back.
The Fly fans are now trying to back up, say, hey guys, yeah, this draft is really good. But
it's like Chad is saying Immortals for sure.
Yeah.
People like the Immortals draft, but they like the FlyQuest players. So that is the thing. The champions don't just play themselves, unfortunately, or it'd be a lot better at League of Legends.
Well, for the Immortals fans, trust in an arrow. We had the coach interview at the top of the series talking about how they've worked a lot on a lot of those mid-game transitions from the early game. And with all the setup that you do have from pretty much the jungle and the bottom side of the map, an arrow did highlight Olleh as the big X factor for this composition and for this team overall, just making sure that if you can be with Olleh when he finds an angle and immediately trusts in the call, that could be the key to victory for Immortals.
Absolutely. I mean, I thought it was really cool to actually hear him specifically call out a player. Usually when people talk about strengths and it's a coach, they give you kind of more of a neutral answer, like, we got some great teamwork, or, or we're really going to go out and give it all. Yep. Just like, Olleh is our advantage here. Olleh is the guy to really get it done. And he's someone that I think a lot of people have really kind of stood up and took notice of. As a very, very strong player. He really did kind of have to rebuild his reputation after some of his TL days. He went back, he was grinding in solo queue, he served in the military even, I believe, and then came back after that, was able to get rank 1 and able to get back into pro. So it's been very cool to see that kind of rejuvenation of his career, and has just been a really strong individual. Always someone who is creative, and in spring, a lot of what we talked about is how he had this ability to always kind of look towards solo queue and bring out these picks that were really working for him in solo queue that other people hadn't really played yet in pro.
Right. And I think he makes a good challenge for someone like Busio, who is continuing to show his progression as someone new to the LCS, only his 2nd year in the league, and being one of the players that we have been looking at as like, hey, this could be the future of this franchise for FlyQuest, couple years down the road, we don't know, how many players will they try to maintain. But Massu and Busio, the young guys on this squad, these are the ones that FlyQuest want to build a future around in the next coming years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's definitely one of those players who is looking really, really strong. And I think anytime you're on a team that's struggling, you are kind of fighting for your spot. Every game is essentially a job interview for the next year, right? And that is one of the things that's just the reality of the game, of the sport. You know, there's only so many positions at this level. 5 players per team. There's only 8 teams in the league. That means there's 40 spots in North America. Plus, there's lots of good players from around the world that are coming here. You know, we have players from Europe. We have players from Korea. So it makes it very, very difficult. And there's a lot of players that are in Tier 2 that are hunting for those jobs. So you need to be playing at a top level, even if you're not winning games. You want to make sure that you're looking good, that you are maintaining your spot. But I do like this from FlyQuest. They had the push early on here in the bot lane. Obviously, Olleh, you know, level 1 Leona, not going to have a threat. You're going to get pushed in by the Bard. So they get that push. They bring over the Nidalee, get the invade down, steal away that blue camp. And now we can see Armao is moving down towards bot. But unbeknownst to him, he is warded out in that pixel brush. So is just going to be able to kind of cover this push here from Olleh and Tactical. They'll get the wave shoved in. He'll reset. Nidalee, though, of course, has that knowledge. And it will just be that one camp advantage here for Inspired. Not too big of a deal just yet, but of course he has one more camp on the map to farm as well.
Yeah, a lot of junglers will get, you know, very upset if they lose like a buff via red or blue buff, but it's still just one camp, and as long as you don't fall disastrously too far behind, as Armao on this Sejuani, at level 6, you have an amazing gank and setup tool to start setting up Immortals for success.
Yeah.
So as long as Immortals just recognize, like, hey, you know what, camp advantage, not a win con for us, it's okay. And then the rest of the lanes, as long as they stabilize, that's the win con for Immortals.
I mean, there's honestly way more pressure on the Nidalee to get things done early than the Sejuani, and it's not even close. Inspired even talked about Sejuani as a champion on pros. You know, this was even pre a lot of the AP jungler nerfs. You know, kind of comparing some of these tanky junglers like the Sejuani to some of those AP junglers, and he talked about the fact that, you know, in the early game in pre-6, Sejuani actually clears pretty fast. It's not like you're multiple camps behind. You know, you're able to keep up on that clear speed pretty darn well. And that's going to give you a chance to, when you hit 6, make plays on the map and really look for that. But something else we really wanted to talk about is that Immortals actually do have a really high percentage of close games. This is actually 54.7% of the time, so almost 55. It means that the goal between the two teams is very, very close. It's within striking distance. So even though they are often losing their games, they keep close. They get themselves in these opportunities, which makes you think, hey, maybe they could do it. Maybe they could do it. And that was kind of the discussion in spring. It's like, oh, this team's good in scrims. They're close in stage. They just can't close it out. But that is really what they have to work on. And to me, that says that your mid game is lacking, your late game is lacking. You know, your team fighting and decision making is really where the issues are. You know, we see great things from Tactical sometimes where he makes these heroic plays and he looks like he's going to be the guy to carry the game. But then sometimes, you know, he has that error where he gets caught and he's really punished for that. So Immortals have got to clean up kind of in that aspect because they're giving themselves a shot in these games, even against top teams. You know, they're not just getting blown out in lane or anything. So they just have to make sure that when they are in winning positions, they're able to start closing out on some of those leads and closing out on some of those advantages.
I got a quick note from Prod. I think it was 79% of chat thinks that Fly Draft is better. Oh, IMT.
Okay, I was going to say, because that was pretty different from the chat. Yeah, so 79%. I agree. I mean, I'm definitely a fan of ease of execution. That's something that I really do think is important. I think, you know, if you play the flag draft perfectly, it's very hard to do anything about it because they're just outranging you, they're poking you, they're dodging all your engage. But the reality is games are not played perfectly, right? Yeah. And having a lot of easy go buttons makes your win conditions very clear, right? You shoot out the AShe, you shoot out the Leona, you shoot out the Sejuani, you look for these go buttons, and if you connect on someone, you go. Yep. It's pretty simple. You fight front to back, you show up objectives. On the other side, FlyQuest has to be a lot more creative. They need to be first to the objective. They need to be the ones taking away camps, snowballing advantages, playing through side lanes, roaming around with the Bard. And if you make any mistakes, all of a sudden the game can start to feel really, really unwinnable. So we'll see if they can execute on those advantages, as Inspired did allow that to reset. It's going to be a smite fight, which he will win.
And nicely timed well. He gets the spear, so that makes the target hunted, and he gets the empowered takedown combined with smite, but all in 2v2 bot side potentially. Busio's in trouble, forced to immediately flash, but he popped the ignite, which deters Immortals from continuing further as Massu gets some decent damage. Now Olleh is forced to flash away, and Tactical could be next. Pops the barrier as well, and Massu just might go all in on this one. Pops the cleanse, flashes backwards, and it's first blood going to Massu, but Tactical might try and follow Busio over the wall. Oh, the last minion auto is not enough to take him down.
Man, that was really close. Good turn there from Olleh, because I think if you try to continue to run, you are eventually going to get chased down and actually burst down. Olleh was incredibly low after the True Shot Barrage did hit on him, but he finds the angle to actually turn. Tactical's barrier was unfortunately late. He tried to use it on that Mystic Shot, but it actually went up after the Mystic Shot did land. If he popped that barrier a split second earlier, absorbs that HP, maybe he actually can position more aggressively and get both those kills. But either way, good stuff from the Immortals bot lane. This is the kind of stuff that we're talking about. You know, they can go toe-to-toe with the top teams, especially this bot lane. And that's kind of the X factor as well that we heard of from an Arrow.
Yeah, and I know that one of the things that we heard a lot about Immortals and what we saw come to fruition in their stage games, whether it was this past summer or the past summer weeks or even spring split, if Tactical gets ahead, the amount of times that Immortals wins games goes up a metric ton in terms of percentage. And so Immortals win con has always seemingly been, if you get Tactical fed, you're setting yourself up for success. And right now, things are panning out that way as we take a look back at the replay.
Yeah, we can watch this one more time. They just get the push. The arrow comes out. It does miss, as does the Zenith Blade. But even with that, they just step forward, land the stun, get this damage down here onto Busio. And Olleh was kind of just blocking everything so they couldn't return fire onto Tactical. Then the True Shot Barrage comes out. He is very low, and this is where you think they're just going to get run down. That's the late barrier that I'm talking about. If he had about that 200 extra health, it would have been a big deal.
Right.
But as he goes forward, Olleh knows, you know what? I can't actually run this out. If I step out of the brush, I'm going to get killed by the Ezreal. So he finds the angle to get the turn, to get that kill. And I do think maybe Tactical could have positioned a little bit more aggressively had that barrier been out earlier and got that second kill, because it would have just been one more auto. Even one or two more minion autos would have actually got them that kill, but still. Good job there by Immortals, even without the Ashe ult hitting, even without the Zenith Blade hitting on that initial go.
Yeah.
They still are able to go 1-for-1. They have that CS lead pretty significantly down in bot, though there is more to farm for Massu.
Yeah. A little bit of catch up on the map. So, second rotation of Grubs are spawning in 45 seconds. FlyQuest picked up the first rotation with Inspired on the top side. That's why we saw him trying to invade for the red buff after, whereas the first Dragon did go over to Armao and crew on Immortals. Second Dragon is spawning in the next minute and 30. I'm curious to see if FlyQuest are now going to try and contest directly Immortals for one of those objectives, or if it will just be another crass map trade again.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they are there first and if they get the push, they can actually look to do that. But if they're not first to the play, I think it's going to be difficult, right? I think we're going to see them continue to play for gold. I know chat is definitely not a fan of Nidalee. I saw a lot of Nidalee hate in the chat referencing that when we were talking about the drafts. It kind of feels like Nidalee alone equals chat saying you lost the draft. I'm not sure if that's 100% accurate, but it was looking like it was looking like it based on my perusal of chat.
This is what I'll say.
They're not Nidalee enthusiasts.
Yeah, there are genuine drafts that are good for Nidalee. This is not necessarily good for one of them. You want to
They're just not in North America.
Yeah. That, you know what?
Including when I'm playing with Raafaa.
Oh, okay, there it is. All right.
Can confirm.
Cap, get back in the booth. I can't cast with this guy anymore. This guy's flaming me on air.
Also not good in solo queue.
Come on, man. Well, during all this time, Immortals are taking the second rotation of Grubs, and the Dragon is still taking about 20 more seconds before it spawns up. So there is a chance if Immortals want to beeline back over to the bottom side of the map, but it doesn't look like they're going to have the resources set up. FlyQuest are already in the jungle of Immortals, pushing them out with vision control. And because they're the first ones there, this is where that poke is going to really be important for them, pushing Immortals out of the jungle.
And we'll see if they're going to be able to do it. They're going to be able to continue. I see some people asking for the Nidalee win rates in chat.
It's still 60% above.
Oh, yeah, yours. We're talking about pro here.
Oh, no. It's like at least close to 0%.
Close to 0%. It's not
Engage on the Busio. Glacial Prison hits him. The arrow connects as well, and he tries to go through the magical journey, but he's getting interrupted by Armao. He can't walk through the Pig Rider, and Mask will pick up the kill. And now Inspired. He's deciding whether he wants to contest for the objective with the amount of CC on the side of Immortals. There's no way that he's going back in that pit. Immortals taking the second Dragon of the game as well.
Okay, Immortals, that CC was actually so clean on Busio. We had Olleh started off, then we had the Glacial Prison come, then the Ashe Arrow from downtown. Everything was nailed onto that bar. They're able to take him down. Even though he has Merc Treads here, you know, even though he's trying to build to actually deal with that CC, still was not enough. You can see triple Merc Treads already purchased here for FlyQuest. It is all about negating the CC from this Immortals squad. honestly think this could be a pretty good Mikhail's game as well for Busio.
Yeah.
Not like a first item, but definitely working towards that could be quite nice.
Whoa! Flash Zenith Blade from Fog and Olleh, and they landed all on Inspired, but he's got the pounce, but now he has to deal with Castle's Gnar, who's running him down, and Tactical gets the last kill credit on that one. Immortals are on fire in this early game.
Yeah, they're looking good, man. And we said it can be difficult to play these kind of poke compositions sometimes from behind. We don't have a lot of that CC. You kind of need to be first there. But at the same time, they are keeping the gold pretty darn close. The objective game, though, working in the favor of Immortals. Now, 3-3 as far as the Grubs. They do have the first 2 dragons. We'll see if they can continue to stack those, as is Hextech as well, which would be really, really nice for really any composition to grab. But you definitely do not want to give that to a poke comp like FlyQuest has.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing for FlyQuest is they're not down a ton of gold despite the amount of, objective disarray that has happened for...
The disarray.
Yeah. But Immortals are making progressive plays, and like Anero said, that
Was that intentional?
What?
Immortals progressive?
No. I promise that was not intentional. I didn't even think about it
How
until
much are they paying you?
No.
Raafaa?
I promise. Unbiased caster on the booth right now. Hand to God. Anyway, Immortals. Man, now you got it in my head. And I'm like
right
thinking
down
of
the lane.
Yeah, I'm
just like a nice key in there.
Next time Cloud9 Energy plays, oh yeah. Man, the Kia amount of time they're doing it has been crazy good. Okay, FlyQuest. There's another objective to play for on this Rift Herald, but Immortals are the first one to the punch, and it's a lot more difficult for Fly to try and challenge. They're not even bothering to walk on over there. They're just putting a lot of time into the bottom side of the map as Inspired clears towards his bottom lane.
It's looking like chat thinks it was intentional. I'm seeing a lot of #ad. I'm seeing a lot of
Oh
COD.
my God.
Rafa's been outed here. And he didn't even say #ad after he did the ad. That's illegal. We need the police.
Whoa,
Call up FBI. Get him in here.
Hey, hang on. Relax.
Where's FBI?
I am just a common man, I am here to do my job. Arrow goes wide.
Hit the cannon.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what they're aiming for.
Yeah.
It's a field goal in between Inspired and Busio. Armao is lurking around in the river, maybe to find a pick onto someone, but since one of the ultis has already been used, there's nothing really much to play for as long as FlyQuest don't overextend in this riverside. So Immortals, they're going to be patient as long as FlyQuest doesn't accrue such a giant lead so far in the way that the game has stagnated and become neutralized. This is favored for Immortals so far.
Yeah, I think Immortals are in a good spot. The real question is just going to be, can they actually execute on this now? Can they take this close game? We talked about it. They're actually #1 in the league as far as closeness as a stat, which is basically when you're just keeping the gold within, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's within, say, like 1,500 or something like that. So it's basically you're just in a very competitive game gold-wise. They're again in that spot. They're only down 300. They've given themselves a chance to win from their laning, from their early play. And now they have to be able to execute on that. They have to avoid mistakes, shot calling errors in these team fights to really be able to close out some of these games if they want to make a push towards playoffs. And if they could get a win against a team like FlyQuest, they could really put a lot of other teams on notice.
Gonna see if Immortals want to take this fight in the bot side jungle. Armao and Olleh are pushed out though, 4-man strong from FlyQuest as they swap on over from that tri-bush into the banana brush in the mid lane. Castle is joining the fight here, not needing to use his TP as he's already here to catch the mid wave, whereas Bwipo is pushing strong on that top side. Could try and threaten for first tower of the game since turret plates have fallen.
Castle's going back up though, so he's going to cover it. Did hope that he could actually just move down and kind of have first move down there. We'll see if the Gnar bar works out so he can actually have that prepped and ready to go for the dragon. He obviously wants to answer this wave, but Bwipo is going to go back to base, have his TP ready here, and his next buy to be in position to join. Castle does have that Gnar bar, right about to pop, so if he can actually keep that from popping, walk down and have that prepped and ready to go would be pretty big.
Yeah.
And we'll see if they can find that big fight, because this is the dragon that FlyQuest has said, okay, we can't give up third. We can't allow them to get to soul point on a Hextech soul here this early on. But the Herald's going to be summoned mid. Castle's at a good rage bar, really good rage bar, and Immortals have first move in towards this river, so things are going to look pretty tough here as Quad's going back to base with no TP. So you know what? They've decided we can't actually do anything here. Bwipo's going to push top, and they're just going to give it.
Immortals are now on Soul Point, Azael. This is awesome. I mean, FlyQuest are one of our top 3 teams, and we've been
say that Immortals progressive, Raafaa.
Oh my god! Anytime I say something positive about Immortals, it's an ad.
Curious.
Insider, bias caster. Oh my goodness. Hashtag say something positive about Immortals challenge. I'm trying my best. Now, 3-man dive onto Castle potentially, but the arrow is good. It's right onto Quad, and he slams him into the wall. Castle with the Gnar ulti, but the all-out from Bwipo is now going to isolate him, and he's running to the safety of his comrades. Tempered Fate will stall Armao, but not Castle, which is perfect from Busio, as that allows him to get the isolated kill on the top lane of Immortals. Armao is forced to flash over the wall. Olleh is also running for the hills.
Honestly, it kind of looked like that all-out was just about to save Castle. You know, he took him away from the rest of his team after they killed that tower. So I was thinking Castle might have been able to get out, but he actually backstepped on the Bardal. It's interesting because I feel like if he stayed in the Bardal, he might have been able to actually live, because Armao would have come out at the same time. But that's just kind of those instinctual things where you're always looking to dodge a skill shot. But interesting play there. That long-range Ashe ult from Tactical was looking like, hey, maybe there's an angle to turn around and play. But the turret was not on Quad, of course. It was being tanked by Bwipo, so they were able to survive. They pushed down the tower. They do kill Castle at the end of the day. But it got a lot closer than I think they would have wanted it to be. Yeah,
and surprisingly, Quad did not have to burn Flash in the ordeal. So as we take a look back at the replay, just what a great arrow from Tactical from mid lane.
Yeah, it was really, really nice. Just unfortunate that the tower did not go onto him. Also nice Pathmaker there from Bwipo. Immunes the Gnar ult. But then this was, I think, a mistake from Bwipo. The flash out was great on the pounce, but there's the backstep I'm talking about from Castle. If he gets hit by the Bardal, maybe he dies anyway. It's hard to know because they'll be stacked on top of you.
Yeah.
And then maybe coming out of that, if Bard Q comes back up, it's going to be tough. But now we're going to listen in the player comms for that fight.
That was actually really close.
That was really close. And you heard it from Armao.
Not wrong.
Yeah. And I think that's the kind of thing you want to hear for confidence boosting on the side of Immortals, as they are holding even with one of the best teams in the LCS right now. And as someone as Immortals, who the only series win that they have in this split so far is against Shopify Rebellion,
who apparently is their toughest scrim competition.
That part is crazy to me.
That is crazy to me. That was surprising because, yeah, they stomped them. That was the first series of the split, though. So that was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So maybe they're kind of doing differently now in scrims. But either way, it is going to be a good spot in the game here for Immortals. 2 minutes until potential soul. Quad and Busio trying to look to chase him down.
They know that Armao doesn't have flash, so they're trying to maintain the chase. A deep teleport is coming in for FlyQuest as well, and Armao already recognizes that he is doomed to die, so he does not want to hold the rest of his team liable. But Quad is now looking to join the rest of FlyQuest as the Temper Fate will lock down Olleh. Busio gets the Cosmic Chime or Binding down for the slow and easy pickup for Inspired. FlyQuest have just taken 2 members off of Immortals. Baron is alive for the taking.
Yeah, we'll see if they're going to go to Baron. They're at least going to get the tier 1 mid, and they want to force the TP from Castle. Will they get more than that is the question. Bwipo has no ult. Busio's already a little bit low. They are going to start this up. They need a response from Castle. He's charging up the Gnar bar, and he has DP. I cannot imagine that they're just going to give this for free. I feel like surely you need to test here. And there's
a teleport.
TP.
Yeah, Castle almost at full rage, so he can get a really nice Gnar ulti. Mass goes in. Emperor's Divide on the left side. Can Castle get in there? But he whiffs! The rest of FlyQuest now just have to play survival. It's 1400 HP on the Baron. Who's going to get it? Immortals! Wait, was that Massu? How did Massu get the Baron?
Over the wall? He actually got it over the wall. He wasn't dead. He was over the wall there at the back of the pit. No jungler was in the pit. And Massu snipes it down with the Mystic shot.
I need the replay.
That is actually so massive that he was able to get that, because that play was looking like it was going to be an absolute disaster. And the key up movement that inspires replay. You can see the Ashe arrow connects onto Massu. He is very, very low. They look to go in here. Mass connects the ult on 3. Castle goes in, finds absolutely nothing. But they did push out Inspired. Inspired can't come back in. His tactical flashes on him. And then here it is over the wall. They just lose track of the fact that he's still there. 66 health it looked like. Mystic shot over the wall. He steals it. Oh, that is so tough. Man, I mean, if they were aware that he was there, Gnar could have just stood on that side of the Baron, blocked the Mystic shot, and it's guaranteed theirs. Then you have Baron that likely locks up Soul for you as well, probably wins you the game, but instead it goes bad, and it is now still very, very even, anyone's game.
And it's so important for Immortals to not let that Baron slip up to deter their mental and confidence going into this next Dragon fight, because this is still sole point that they could win off of against FlyQuest. There's still flashes on Quad and Massu, but Inspired has no flash, so he's an easier target to lock down. Let that be the focus for this fight.
And Castle has no Gnar bar, so he's really got to try to charge this up, but he's getting very low. The poke is brutal.
Mass goes in, and Olleh is leading up with the charge as well. Tempered Fate buys some time on the backline. Busio's chunked out of the fight, but he goes over the wall with Magical Journey. Quad forced to flash as well. 2k HP on the Dragon. It is secured for FlyQuest. Castle about to go Mega, but he can't get in range. He's too low. And Busio, how did he dodge it from the portal? That is crazy.
Yeah, he gets into the portal, and then once you're traveling, you are immune. He gets out of there. Olleh dies. Oh, that is rough for Immortals. They really tried to force it. It was actually Bwipo that ended up getting the secure on the Dragon at the end of the day, I believe. With either just an auto or maybe one of the Intofo strikes. The smite just ever so early from Inspired, I think. They had pushed Armao out of the pit. Some really good poke was coming down. Castle just kind of wasn't prepared for this fight, though. You can see he didn't have the Gnar bar, so he's trying to step forward. But look at that damage from that Mystic Shot from the spear as well that connected. Then this great Bard ulti really delayed the follow-up. As Olleh goes forward, the Bard ulti comes across. Mass gets hit by it, as does Castle, so they can't actually go in on the CC that came down from Leona. Tactical's getting a lot of work done. Did force out the flash from Bwipo, but once the channel completes, you are immune to damage. The channel completes there. We are back to live.
Yeah, and Castle just sniped off Busio. The arrow hits Quad. He doesn't have flash. The rest of Immortals charge on in and laid down the CC follow-up. Another kill for Immortals. Massu could be next as he tries to stand on the blast cone, and Arcane shifts away. But the rest of Immortals are going to look to... Oh! True Shot Barrage did so much damage. Popped Tactical, and that might have just saved FlyQuest from losing this tier 1.
Man, the sniper Massu steals the Baron, snipes the kill here with the ulti. Really nicely done. It was looking again like Immortals were going to get a lot from that fight, but at the end of the day, we're only able to go 1 for 1. They did kill off Quad. They're showcasing the CC layering, and they're doing a really good job of not just overlapping it all at once.
Yeah.
They are layering it one after the other, you know, dealing with those Merc Treads well. Got enough CC to get that initial kill on the Quad, and then Tactical was just getting very aggressive to try to chase in, but Massu landed so much damage on him as he went forward that he got him low enough he could finish him off with this ult. And here's that initial play. As Busio's trying to make a play for Vision, they decide, you know what, we can actually potentially chase in on this. Busio was getting chased down by Castle, had to flash the wall. He died in the initial play. And then this Ashe arrow, Tactical, great spot over the wall, knows he's out of vision, catches the Corki, then the Leona ult, then the stun against the wall, then the E from Armao. Very nicely done. And this is where I'm talking about. Tactical is forward, has the barrier available. Thinks, you know what, I can actually scrap with this guy, but Massu just hits everything. And then the fadeaway ulti gets him too. But some stress over there, and not looking too comfortable, the coaches just yet.
I'd be stressed too. And a FlyQuest Tempered Fate does not hit Tactical, close. But it just zones him away from defending the tier 2. And now FlyQuest are going to back off for now, knowing that Armao is on the other side of that Raptor wall and could engage on them, and FlyQuest will take their leave.
Yeah, I mean, Tactical had no flash, so if that Bard ult hits, you are dead.
Yep.
So that was very, very close to getting the tower, plus that kill also. Again, we are just looking towards these next objectives here. Baron in a little over a minute. We have about 2 minutes until the next crack at Soul for Immortals. And FlyQuest are going to be dealing with that for the rest of the game. They do have a 2k gold advantage now. They've shown that they can play out these fights well. Massu completes the Shojin. He's on 3 items. Quad is working towards his 3rd item as well. And Massu has been playing so well in this game.
Yeah.
And if he can soften up Immortals before the fight, it's very difficult for them to commit to the plays. But that being said, Armao didn't go Warmogs first. He did get it second. Now Bloodthirster has been completed by Tactical. So if these guys have time in the case of the Warmogs and something to hit in the case of the Bloodthirster, they can start to shrug off a lot of the poke.
Yeah. It is a 2,000 gold advantage for FlyQuest, but a majority of that is on Inspired. And I feel like when you look at just composition differences, the fact that even though Armao is down gold, his job is to soak damage, throw out an ulti, and just live as long as possible while the rest of Immortals do the damage. Whereas like the actual kind of damage dealers in the backline, they're somewhat even on gold, so they should be fine for this upcoming Dragon fight if they want to take it. FlyQuest, it's more onus on Inspired to really make that gold difference show through the poke of these spears.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we'll see how much he can get done. Of course, he can also, you know, be spamming out heals to try to keep Massu aggressive, you know, if he's trading poke back and forth. But, you know, you can see that poke is pretty threatening on a Tactical, but they then have to be able to keep Tactical away from the minion wave. Because with BT, 1 wave and you're back to full health pretty much.
Yep.
And that's the case that they are facing right now. As Castle, trying to charge up this Gnar bar here, was looking to steal away the red, won't be able to do it. Has the Gnar bar in a pretty good spot right now, 20 seconds before the Dragon. It was one of the critical things that was going wrong for Immortals in that last fight, was that Castle showed up with 0 Gnar bar. He had just made it out before the fight, and that meant he wasn't in a position to engage when they needed them. And now he is below this FlyQuest team, which are pushing very aggressively towards Immortals. Potential flank angle here for Castle. We'll see if they can actually coordinate on it, because if he messes it up, they can actually just turn on the Gnar and try to kill him.
Yeah, and Bwipo is already doing a good job of zoning him out of the fight, and if he is able to get any damage onto Castle, it might proc the Mega Gnar too early, and it's procced. As long as FlyQuest just stall out the fight, Castle will not have it for the remainder once they try to fight the actual Dragon, and Bwipo chases him off. Quad was hit by the Glacial Prism, but gets out. Nice third Q strike from Bwipo. It finds Mask, and the Tempered Fate is beautiful. FlyQuest just found a massive fight on an Immortals, and this could be game.
Yeah, it looks like it just might be. FlyQuest decimate the fight. The poking, the prodding, they forced out every cooldown from Immortals for nothing. The Glacial Prism came out. The Mega Gnar was already used. FlyQuest crushed the fight, pushed forward. They're looking to take the game.
It was an impressive early game showing for Immortals, but FlyQuest find the one fight that they need to end the game, and they're going to take it all the way through the Nexus. FlyQuest, even after break, showing that they are not missing a beat as they take game 1 from Immortals.
After a little bit more of padding the stats here, this was honestly such a strong game there from Massu. He played it out very, very well. FlyQuest, though, honestly, not looking that happy after the win. Immediately, a lot of conversations going down, maybe discussing some of the things that didn't go right in that one for them. This was another very close game for a lot of it for Immortals, but again, they're not able to execute when it counts. FlyQuest outplay them down the stretch.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that there's definitely some weird moments from FlyQuest in the early game where they didn't respect the amount of CC layering or how far they could actually overextend themselves, pushing into Immortals jungle. And one time that Busio did get caught out with the multiple amounts of ultis chucked at him. So FlyQuest, there's definitely things to take away from that game, whereas for Immortals, it sucks to lose after having such a strong lead in the early game and having things set up, but there's also good things that you can build up. It's like, okay guys, we got to this point, fine, and all we got to do is just buckle that down for the next game. But for everyone at home, a reminder that